Hey folks, hey
Hi.
Chandu, hey Poorna.
Hi, Prasanna.
How was
Hi.
Diwali?
Very nice.
All right.
After
And
long
burst
time.
crackers?
No.
No,
No
No
crackers.
crack.
no.
Green
All
Diwali.
right. Green Diwali. Not even green crackers, huh?
Not even green crackers.
Hmm. How
So
about you?
definitely, we burst some
Crackers.
what is this? Flower pots and some
Yeah.
chakras for the kids.
Yeah,
They
Hmm.
were very excited.
all that.
Uh, my son is a little scared to
Hmm.
light crackers, but my daughter is very into. So she was
Okay.
lighting more crackers, and he's doing the logistics. He's bringing flower pot from the box and keeping it on the floor and all that stuff. So
Okay.
good
Teamwork.
training, teamwork. Yeah. And but overall, I think I hardly heard 2-3 hours of crackers this year
Hmm.
in the
And
whole
it
building.
rained also that day.
It rained also heavy rain. Anyway, cool. So it's great to have you. And I think one obligatory question, because we are all on Zoom and in different places of the world. Where in the world are you folks?
Bangalore?
Bangalore.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this? You're building a global business and you're still in Bangalore.
You can sit remotely and build a business, Prasanna.
All
So
right.
Times have
Good.
changed.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of questions. We'll start with an introduction of the two of you, and then we'll do a bunch of questions. And if we have time, we'll take questions from the audience as well. So
Hmm.
first question for you, Chandu. It's partially an introduction as well.
mhm.
So why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us what was your entrepreneurial experience before EnrichVideo?
Okay. I mean, before this, I was the co-founder of News Hunt, which is now called Daily Hunt. So we built the business wherein those days it was even Indian languages were not in fashion, and we got all the Indian newspapers on mobile for the first time almost. And we exited a few years back, and we had the B2C or the media kind of a background of B2C background. So we started with the aim of doing a financial portal for US markets, which we knew would be a great way to start. And that's how we started. To make it more interesting, we added the video component to it because there is huge amount of data in finance which gets generated literally every day, whether it is closing price and portfolio movements for so and so. So we started making these videos. So slowly from B2C, we shifted to B2B, but maybe that will come later in the introduction. And currently, me and Poorna, we are running Enrich Video. It is keeping us busy. So Poorna can add.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Poorna.
Yeah. So, Chandu and I go back a long way. I was a part of New Sun team in the early days. And when Chandu was starting out again, he was like, "Would you like to join?" And since I personally have an interest in finance, I said, "Why not?" And it's been a great journey so far, from B2C to B2B. Lot of learning, and which I'll be sharing now in this session with all of you.
Why do you have an interest in finance?
Um, how do I put it? It's like I think I started out because somebody had to do it at home, manage the finances and all that, and I started learning, and then I developed an interest. Is how I would put it. So, see, out of the two of us, me and my husband, it's me who manages the finance and investing part at home.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Chandu, why did you come into fintech from news?
Fintech from news, I mean, again, it was that personal passion for stock markets. When I was way back in US also before Daily Hunt, I used to invest and I had personal interest in tech stocks,
Okay.
technology stocks. So those whether it's Amazon, Google, Facebook. So we started analyzing those every day and we were putting out videos. So that's how it all started. So
All right.
it's ultimately it was a personal love for finance again that drove us there.
It's
but the
interesting.
business took some turns, and we are still, of
Sure.
course, working with financial institutions, but in a B2B fashion.
Understood. So Poorna, if I go back to the early days of Enrich Video,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the first 90 days like? What were you trying to do? And it may be very different from what you're doing now, but like, what were you trying to do? And how
Yeah.
was it when you started
So
off?
I'll not talk about the website part of it. I'll talk about Enrich Video itself.
Yeah.
So I would say the idea came because of I would say by chance, like a large brokerage firm in the US, contacted us asking if we can create videos with the portfolio data that they had, and we got excited. We built everything and then we showed it to them. That didn't pan out. So the first 90 days was like trying to build something that we could actually sell to this brokerage.
Hmm.
Didn't work out, and then we realized like selling to big banks, big brokerages is not going to be very easy, and getting that first customer is going to be a challenge. That's when we reached out to smaller boutique firms, and we kind of got a friend come small firm which wanted to try us out, and we actually co-created with them, and built it for what they wanted. After that, then we landed the largest wealth management firm in India, and that's how it started, our journey.
Understood. So Chandu, do you want to explain what it is that you co-created with this customer? And
Yeah, sure. The product is something, I mean, which is in line with our DNA. We say we simplify finance, and typically, whether you are a small investor, big investor, the investment reporting and the overall language, whether it is low beta stocks, alpha, gamma, there is too much of terminology. It's quite complex. And the PDF reports that they send are not mobile friendly, all kinds of things. So we said, why can't we simplify this? So we said, would you like to try? So instead of receiving, say, a monthly statement from your bank or a investment advisor, what we said is it would be nice if we can create a 2-minute personalized video. So it will literally talk to you. Hey Prasanna, your stock portfolio has done like this, your debt portfolio has done like this, and this is the summary. Would you be interested in so and so? So it literally talks with charts and graphs on the screen. So we co-created it with this boutique firm. They helped us because the biggest problem we had was getting this sensitive customer data to try.
mhm.
So we tried it in a small way. We showed it to a large, India's largest wealth management firm, and then they said, "Wow, this looks really interesting." And so the journey started.
So when you were trying to, news hunt, daily hunt is B2C, this is B2B. So Chandu, in your perspective, like what's the big difference between, what you were trying to do as a B2C entrepreneur and what you're trying to do now as a B2B entrepreneur?
I think the big difference is in the way you think. To be honest, I feel a lot of B2C is still running on vanity metrics, and I
Yeah.
have been guilty of that. Daily unique users, average time spent, whether it is translating into any money or not, nobody is bothered. And ad revenue, unique users, all kinds of things. So, but that was the game I knew how to do
Mhm.
it. So, very soon we realized we are overly dependent on Google to send us the traffic, and literally I mean, I will cover it later also. The Google one fine day decided to shut down Google Finance as a portal, and that's where we were getting all the traffic. So we had our share of troubles that time. But this B2B, like Poorna said, it was kind of a bit of serendipity. Somebody approached us, a large brokerage house. We could never imagine a $1 trillion brokerage house approaching us because we had something unique. I mean, we still have that creating videos from numbers. So that was the power we had. So they approached us, and that very soon we realized this looks like a much better business to be in. So B2B kind of happened by chance, and then we realized it's looking good.
Mm.
But a lot of learning after that too, and that's when Upekkha came in and kind of we understood what it takes to run a B2B. Till then, we were running it in a B2C fashion only. Okay, it should look nice to the end user. We never bothered about who is our customer, who is the end user. That distinction was missing. Pricing was totally off. We did not know how to price, what to do. So, lot of learning afterwards.
Just to add to Chandu, there's a lot of cash burn in B2C, like you just pour in money, which
Yeah.
typically you can't do in B2B. So,
And we did that with our first small seed money, almost. So we did burn that.
Understood. So Purna, if you look at your customers,
mhm.
what is the best customer testimonial that you got for Enrich Video, and why is it a good testimonial?
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So, let me, like, we're working with one of the largest bank in Singapore. Let me share the experience that they had. So they were looking for, HNI client engagement through videos. And when we talked to them, like we promised around 10 to 15% response rate. By response rate, these videos are not only personalized, they're interactive. So by response rate, I mean that whoever is watching the video will click on the call to action buttons and either give you a feedback or express interest or do the action that you want them to take. So this is a great improvement when you compare to plain word documents or PDF reports where like you hardly get 1-2% response rate. But then since it was Singapore and a new market, we were also like keeping our fingers crossed, and we were not sure what to expect because this was our first customer and we landed one of the biggest banks in Singapore. And since this is an enterprise platform, we actually have to rely on them to share the numbers transparently because we do not have access to production servers.
Right.
So after sending these videos for the first time, like they sent around 30,000 videos in the first launch, like we had this tense 1 week period because Singapore was in lockdown, and after that somebody had to go to office to get the reports because they don't have remote access. And when they did share the results after a week, we were pleasantly surprised. Like we saw close to 34% of video viewers actually
Wow.
giving feedback, and almost all of them saying that videos are useful. So our customer was like super happy with us, and now like we are actually planning for the next 1-2 years with them. They want to deeply integrate with us, want to do more with us. So I think that's one of the best. We don't have a formal testimonial because that's going to happen soon, but this is what they have told us, and it makes us feel really happy.
Maybe you should speak to why you think there is such a huge difference, right? That's not a that's like a 30x improvement. You don't get a 30x improvement just like that. What do you think is leading to a 30x improvement with your product, Chandu
Uh,
or Purna?
yeah. One I would say is the medium. Like videos are engaging, is what I would say. Second thing is that, see, one thing that was lacking, I feel, in this whole wealth management space is that trying to, you know, be simple, trying to tell things in a way that people understand, trying to actually engage with your client, which was missing. People would just send, a 30-page document or something, and that whole thing was lacking. But when people got exposed to something like this, they really adopted it. Chandu, you want to
Understood.
add something?
Yeah, I mean, and we had learned from this right from our this boutique firm days, and then Indian working with Indian customers, etc. What really works? Where should the buttons be? What color? I mean, we had done our groundwork, homework, and we had done a lot of A/B testing with real customers. So all that knowledge was also there that we could bring to the table. Uh,
Hmm.
and we were in India seeing 17-18% kind of response rates. We were apprehensive whether in Singapore it will be good or bad. So we were conservatively telling the customer, okay, 10% we can guarantee, but we are thinking it can go 15. The guy came back 5 days saying 34%. And these are rich of the rich of Singapore. There, the premium segment is $25 million and above. And so we were not sure, I mean, whether it's such a rich class of people, whether they will really love video, which are like 2 minute video. This is not TikTok kind of video, but the duration is short duration videos. So, but they loved it. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
we're seeing this like month on month. It's
yeah,
not like a one-off thing.
one 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 time.
That's fantastic. So, Chandu and Purna, like, why did you choose this market? Why Singapore? Why big banks? I know you said the boutique firm came in,
Yeah, yeah,
by co-creation, but why Singapore and why big banks?
one, I would say like banks have the ability to pay, and I would say like once you get in, uh, it's very difficult for them to put you out. It's like a marriage. Once you get into a bank, it's like so that's one thing. Singapore, I would say, we tried India first. So one thing is that we learned that the hard way, wherein like we spent some considerable amount of time in India, and some credit goes to you, Prasanna, because you really pushed us out and said like you have to try global markets, and that's how Singapore also happened.
And the next thing we are going obviously is US, but we soon realize the ability, willingness to pay, and the way they work is entirely different. And if we want to build a global business, it's probably a bit of theory that oh, you can build it in India. You can build it in India to some extent, the POC kind of level. But to create a global product, you need global customers. Then only your game goes up.
Hmm.
The kind of
So
feedback, the kind of security, and the kind of rigor that they go through is way different than what you see in India. Makes
understood.
your product really world class.
Then why did you pick Singapore over a US or a EU, or what is the journey there?
I think Singapore one was market nearby. Eh, Probably, I mean, we could have tried US is what on the hindsight, but yeah, Singapore was not at all. We have signed up Singapore's number one and number two banks now. So and Singapore top banks are as big as, I mean, they are probably Fortune 500 banks themselves. So
Understood.
it's not a
So I
bad market, but not as big as US.
Yeah, very professional also, I would say, like their response, like the way they take decisions and all that. So
Understood. So Poorna, how do people look at an Indian product from a global market perspective?
I think if you're able to show value, in our case, I would say it's not only value; it was a bit of innovation also. People are willing to, look at you, and the fact that we are talking to some of the, like, big banks that are globally, apart from these top one and two, we are talking to some other really big banks. Is that you have something and you are able to, and then you have these customers who are paying you, and you're able to show value. I think they are positive. And in APAC market, I would say we didn't face any challenges as such. Now we are trying to enter the US market. We hope to repeat the success there as well.
Understood.
There's, yeah, being in India is not
So
a
no
drawback.
negatives.
If you have the right product, I would say, and which where you can show them what it can do for them. In fact, like Poorna didn't say this largest Swiss bank and the second largest Swiss bank, we are active conversation. So it is like
Wow,
their
that's
assets
amazing.
under management is like 1 trillion. When we hear that, probably the richest of the rich are their customers. But of course, they take long time. There are flip sides, but it's exciting because you have something unique that you can show to them. They talk to
So are you traveling to Switzerland?
you. Hope so. First, very soon now things are opening up. We should be.
Is Switzerland not open yet for Indian travelers?
Not too sure because no, we deal with their Singapore counterpart.
Singapore counterpart right now.
Understood. Understood.
So
I'm just pulling your leg. So, from a fintech perspective, right? How do you see the maturity of the market in India versus how do you see the maturity of the market in Singapore versus how do you see the maturity of the market globally in different places in terms of adopting technology for fintech by BFSI and whoever are your customer segments?
maybe let me take that to add a bit of a disclaimer kind of thing. We are, I mean, not the pure fintech per se, what one can call, which is like payments, loans, then fixed deposit, wealth management. We are not exactly a fintech player. We supply, say, this video creations from numbers kind of a software to all these financial institutions. So I won't be able to comment on say these kind of markets like how are the payments in US
Understood.
versus payments in India. But what we know from experience and all that is it's probably definitely India is not any backward or anything in terms of our
Understood.
ability to pay things like UPI and all that. They are far behind actually. Whereas in terms of say ease of use or the amount of
Understood.
players in the market and all that, But when it comes to working with the banks, BFSIs, one is their approach is professional. All of them are globally slow, whether in India or in US, to deal with or to work with large enterprises. So that is what we have seen. One is, like Poorna mentioned, the approach is quite professional. I mean, the kind of rigor and thing, if you are selling to these banks and all that, your security checks, this, that, and the quality of software, they go through way different kind of testing and adoption models than what happens in India.
Understood.
I don't know whether I answered.
Sure. So I think one thing that will be interesting is, and if you're able to talk about it, is how the positioning for Enrich Video itself has changed. How has the ICP changed? And I think briefly you spoke about what is the value to the customer. How has
Yeah.
that changed from when you started the journey with the small boutique bank to now? What did it used to be? What is it now?
Poorna, you want to take that?
Yeah. So when we started out, like we needed somebody to try us out and create. So that's why we chose the smaller firm, I would say. The positioning over time has changed to larger banks because that's where I think we can show more value, is what we realized. Because over there, the scale is large, and that giving that personal kind of customer engagement to each and every client is not possible uh, by putting in people. So the only way to scale is by going digital. And that's how we identified that it's better to target large banks. And the other thing I would say is that the ability to pay, it's kind of like a new innovation in what we are doing. And there is a bit of co-creation that will be required. And yeah, large banks are better suited to pay us as well and adopt us, whereas like working for small people, they are still in a stage where some of them have not adopted CRMs itself. So they are at the bottom level, so they need to be at a certain level of digital adoption for them to think about customer engagement. So that's the next level. So that's why it's moved from small players to the big players.
The other part I would say is initially we were positioning it more as a just a convert numbers to videos, and the benefit we were not articulating to the banks, in the sense we were saying, okay, you're today sending PDF reports, send these nice reports. But when we realized these videos can be made interactive and the banks can gather feedback from these high net worth individuals, that's the one big position change, rather than a information dissemination tool to information gathering tool. That's when the value kind of changed in their perception. Earlier it was okay, it's a fancy thing to do, but when they realized, okay, I can get customer feedback, I can launch new product on this platform, then they started viewing us entirely differently.
And now it's more about, you can create a digital profile of your clients, is how we tell them. And that's of huge value. Everybody wants to know their customers, and if somebody is able to do that digitally, then
They have.
that's something great.
Understood. So within the bank, who is your customer?
The wealth head slash innovation.
Yeah, we sometimes enter through the innovation head, so but ultimately it goes to the wealth head. So sometimes we enter through the wealth head and they take us to the new project slash innovation team and they work together. But we need both these guys to be onboarded. In some cases it happened from A to B, in other cases it happened from B to A. But what we have realized, we need both onboarded, the digital head or digital slash innovation slash all new project, that kind of a person who, because we are still seen as a new thing, innovative way of customer engagement. It's not a CRM that they are buying with, say, three quotations from parties and then how to integrate kind of a thing. So we have to work with the digital team as well as the wealth head, because the money comes from them.
Money, finally the decision and the budget comes from the wealth head.
So wealth
Understood.
management head, or if it's a wealth management firm, then it is typically the CEO or CTO kind of a person that we need
I
to.
mean, we can still do pilots with the innovation budget, but once they want to scale up, the budget has to come from the actual wealth department. So we
Understood.
typically push them for a pilot wherein like they can try us out faster, and you don't need so many approvals and things like that.
Understood.
So then we do a low cost pilot wherein like it can get covered under innovation. And then once they see that it's working for them, that's when we go for like, annual contracts, and then the wealth head gets involved.
Understood. So, over the course of the last couple of years, where you've been pivoting what you've been selling EnrichVideo as and who you've been selling it to, right?
Hmm.
How has the pricing changed? What was your first customer's pricing roughly, and what's your current pricing?
Our first customer pricing is not something we can even talk about. We were willing to do anything and everything for, some
We for free.
I say 3-4 lakhs, like give the whole software kind of a thing to. Now we have, I would say, an annual contract that we do with quarterly billing, and a flat fee and a usage based fee. So there are various components to our pricing. So the flat fee we charge we bill quarterly in advance, and the usage based fee once that quarter is done. And
Is it in the
from
6 to 7 figure range in rupees or dollars?
Dollar.
dollars. Now we are in dollars. Now we don't want to talk in rupees at all. So yeah, so
The good part.
Awesome.
from few lakhs to giving away everything to upwards of
150K annually.
50K annually.
Awesome.
And
And that
150K
150K
just for
is capped,
one.
or it's
No. So that's the good part of, I mean, the value-based or SaaS-based pricing. So we get paid per video 10 cents, which is quite decent. I mean, because they have hundreds of thousands of videos to send every month, and that's where the money gets made.
understood. Uh, so, from a funding perspective, right? I think in a news hunt, daily hunt, you've raised a lot of capital, Chandu, perhaps even before that. What did you do differently in Enrich Video, and what's the journey there from a funding perspective?
Enrich Video, obviously, for first couple of years, we did not raise anything. We had spent all the small money that we had raised for the website. We had spent it all. But for Enrich Video, we decided we want to do it the right way. Let's show the
Right.
value. So first preference is to customer money, and once you see that customer money is coming, and then to scale up, yes, if needed, we can use. So as you know, we did take the money from Upekkha Fund as well, and so that's has been the journey. So the funding has been really, really minimal. When I hear B2C funding news, this is like nowhere. And I don't think funding is the big problem here, because if we are getting the cash flow, I don't think we are stuck. So we will have always the option eventually to raise the money if need be, but that's the
Understood.
good part.
Awesome. So, from a value perspective, right? You mentioned value-based pricing, and I think you're wearing a T-shirt which says "No Vanity SaaS."
Yes.
What does "No Vanity" mean for you now, and what does value SaaS mean for you?
So okay, I will take that. I mean, coming from a B2C background wherein you have to just talk of vanity numbers only, that's what gets you the valuation. Nobody cares about the actual value or the revenue, profitability, and those kinds of things. Whereas here, value in multiple terms, the value that you deliver to the customer, the price that you can charge for that value, as long as the price that you are charging is, say, half of the value that you are delivering, can you measure that? Definitely, in our case, the value is the high net worth individual who is keeping $25 million with the bank. If you can gauge if he is unhappy, that value is really high, or even happy. So, I mean, so for us, actually, that's the reason we are our ability to do high pricing is almost there, because they also know customers are loving it and they can't do anything with our product if their customers are loving it. So that's on the value for customer and the price that we can charge for ourselves. On the other side, there is always that focus on making sure that we are delivering value to the customer rather than just a vanity metric like so many unique users or XYZ. And even our reporting. Yeah,
Also, value after cracking a deal. It's not like you give your product and you go away. Like, you have a customer success team that continuously works with the
yeah.
customer to ensure that they're always getting that value, and you maintain that that they achieve their goals through using your platform. So it's a
Tradition,
continuous journey, it doesn't stop.
Traditionally, banking software was sold as one time and then followed by small AMC kind of a model. Whereas we are seeing we will bill you based on number of videos. That it was initially a bit of struggle because they were never used to variable pricing models. They say how much you want. You have to have a cap. We said no, no. If you are using more, you have to pay more. So it went through a few initial things, but when they realized, okay, we are making sense because we are charging a very low flat fee, and if they don't use, so all that their doubts also got clarified. I mean, if I don't use, I don't have to pay, which sounds very logical for them. So finally, we could convince them on this variable pricing and value based pricing. So that was the good part.
So, when you look at the journey, right, from where you were to where you are,
Mm.
if you look back and if you were to start Enrich Video again today, what are like three things that you would tell yourselves?
I'll go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so I would say do more customer conversations early on. We realized the importance of doing that only, I think, after joining Upekkha. Otherwise, it was more like our own brainstorming ki this is good for a product, that is good for a product. But what you build is not good unless like you have actually spoken to say 50 100 customers, and like all of them are saying the same thing. The second thing I would say is target global markets. It's easier to earn a dollar than a rupee. It's very hard to sell in India. That was a very hard learning for us, because they don't straight away say no. They keep engaging with you. They talk to you. They're very nice to you. They say they want to do it and all sorts of things, but things don't materialize. And even if they materialize, they don't want to pay. Most of them feel like, okay, I'm a very big brand. You can use me for your marketing, but give it to me for free. All that also happens. And even in the instance that they're willing to pay, payments get delayed. So it's very difficult to run a startup when you don't have predictability in payments. So, and this is not some small company that does this. Like really big banks, big wealth management firms in India do this. So it's so go global from day one. Don't restrict yourself to India. And lastly, I would say, I think maybe invest more in sales and marketing early on. A lot of tech founders do this mistake of focusing more on technology and product, but there's no use building something finally if you're not able to market and sell that. So focus more on the other aspect, because that's very very important.
Understood. Chandu, what would you tell yourself?
Mhm. Yeah, I think Puna covered it all, but having that focus on customer and value right from day one would have the journey would have been different. It becomes, I mean, you get excited by the technology many a times, whereas customer says, I don't want all this, give me something simpler, I am willing to pay you much more than what you're laboring for, kind of a thing. Those experiences were eye openers.
Understood. All right. So, Poorna, like, how has the Upekkha community helped with your Enrich Video journey so far?
It's brought in a mindset shift, I would say. It's brought in a lot of discipline required for B2B sales. It's helped us identify, the right ICP. We didn't even know what these terms are. We would go after anybody and everybody who was willing to talk to us. But now we do realize the importance of, like, if somebody is not an ICP, we should actually not be wasting time on them. Time also comes at a cost. You simply otherwise entertain anybody and everybody, and you just get lost. So that discipline and that helped us identifying the ICP and how to go about sales in a systematic fashion. And of course, I would say the community of founders. It's like we can learn from others mistakes. Now we can brainstorm, get ideas. So that itself has been very helpful.
So, any particular founders who are a bit more helpful?
Yeah, actually, when we were going through our sprint, our you had paired us with some people, right? Like Sudarshan, Vivek of Izu2 and all, like been very helpful.
Basically, they have gone through the journey, and whether it is pricing, whether it is the discipline of sales, the flywheel, all that they have
Yeah,
gone through. And one thing, I mean, great about the communities. As a community we are quite open to each other, whereas when we are on outside we won't admit our mistakes easily and so on and so forth. But here it is very open sessions wherein we can tell I screwed up. I mean, there is no big deal. So you don't have to have any pretensions, and it's a very nice feeling that you get,
yeah,
being among friends kind of a feeling.
yeah.
And these people are, everybody has some kind of experience that you can learn from.
Learn from. And I would say not only the professional help, I would say the emotional support as well.
Yeah. So
Understood. So, which is a great segue to the next question, Chandu. What was your like highest high in this journey so far, and what was your lowest low in this journey so far?
okay,
And then
lowest low
Poorna, I
is
can ask you the same thing.
yeah, lowest low was when Google Finance shut down, and all my years and years of B2C, I was staring at unique users dropping rapidly. So that was quite low point. But
Mhm.
like we said, luck helped us, and some US brokerage came, and then we. On the high side, I would say when DBS signed that big contract for us, and that was really high because here is a team of literally 11 people in Bangalore, and this DBS, which is a Fortune 500 bank, they are willing to sign a big contract with us. That was really very reassuring. Yes, we can do it, kind of a thing. Because even though I'm doing this for a few years and I have been an entrepreneur, but still, as an entrepreneur, I think the biggest enemy you have is your own doubts. And once those get kind of okay, now there is a real chance of success, that gives you that high. Okay, we can do this, kind of. So that I would say was the high, as well as this part was the low. Yeah.
Poorna, what about you? What was your highest high and lowest low?
Highest high, I would say, yeah, for me, it would again be DBS because that's been the biggest thing that's happened for us. Lowest low, I wouldn't pick one event like that because every now and then something or the other happens, you know. It's like because be it, say, yeah, like Google Finance shutting down and you don't know what to do next, like you're figuring out your way, or suddenly sometimes, like, you know, you have so much to deliver and then you're, don't know how you're going to pull that through because suddenly one or two of your top engineers come and say, I don't want to be here, I want to go elsewhere. Like you built that team, you nurtured them, and then, they come and say, like, I want to go somewhere else, and they're willing to even go to a services company. It feels bad. So there are a lot of different things that happen. And when Corona happened, when we wanted to travel, because I felt like that time we had to push the pedal and we couldn't travel. There was uncertainty. There was a low moment that time also. So there are multiple things like that. But yeah, I would say
Poorna
just
today,
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So on the highest high kind of a note, right? Today was first time company led by a Indian woman went IPO on the NSE. So when do
Yeah.
you think EnrichVideo is going to do that, and what are you thinking about on that?
Of an IPO?
Yeah,
No, I would, yeah, I'm really happy. I would want to see more founders coming and doing such things. It's very encouraging. See, as a woman, you don't find many people to look up to, like there are a lot of men out there, but to find a woman role model is very hard. So that way, it's very inspiring. I hope even we get to do something similar. And I hope I get to, be a role model for some women who are aspiring to do something similar, is how I would put it.
what advice would you have to founders, women founders in SaaS or B2B or?
I would say it applies to women in general, not only SaaS. I would say on the personal front, you need a very, you get a partner who can contribute equally at home, because otherwise it's very difficult. Because traditionally, a lot of work at home falls on the woman's shoulders, but things can change if you find the right kind of partner. And without that support structure, it's hard to do anything. On the professional side, I would say, don't be shy of doing things that are traditionally meant for men. If you think you're good at it, or if you like it, like, say for example, finance. If you like it, if you're good at it, you can do it. I manage the finances at my home, so don't
Hmm.
stick to traditional roles. Explore, and if you're good at it, chase it. And the other aspect I would say is that confidence is something that you have to build from within. A lot of women lack confidence, is what I feel. Slowly, one step at a time, try to do things that you're scared of, and eventually you'll be able to do it.
So Chandu, what have you done to have a good woman co-founder with you?
I mean, as I said, we go a long way. And by the way, just to add to what Poorna was saying on the highest height, by the way, Poorna was probably modest or forgot. Today, in fact, at the world's largest Singapore FinTech Festival, Poorna was part of a product showcase where she talked about EnrichVideo. It was there were lot
Wow,
many applicants probably, and she was selected, and she spoke about EnrichVideo for 10 full minutes on a virtual stage
that's
though. But to be at Singapore FinTech Festival product showcase is considered very prestigious. So that Poorna should have said that. I think she was quite tense today morning, so she forgot to say that that was a high moment, but that was definitely a high moment. It's for her high, one of the highs, I would say. So that was the part. And for me and Poorna, we go a long way back. So it was, I mean, even at Enrich Video, we had worked, I think, for 6, 7 years together. So, and she
Yes.
was returning from, yeah, uh, returning from Hyderabad. She had moved to Hyderabad. She was returning from Hyderabad. I was moving out from Daily Hunt. So we just met. We said, okay, this is the right thing to do. We wanted to do something for the finance and US market. We started off. So
awesome.
I
So we'll
don't
do
think
a couple of last questions, and then we'll like move on to any questions from the audience or anybody else. So where do you see Enrich Video going from now, from here, 2, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line?
I would say immediately it would be US that we are trying to enter. That is our next 1 2 years. Like, we need to crack US, is what I would say. Our ultimate, goal is to be the customer engagement platform of choice for all these financial institutions. The final, North Star.
What does that mean?
Like anything that has to do with talking to your customers, being in touch with them, giving that personal attention, it has to be through our platform.
Nice.
Like,
And
we
what's
own the
the
customer.
opportunity that's there on that?
Chandu.
yeah, literally multi-billion dollars. I mean, these banks are willing to spend lots and lots on customer engagement because that's where their money is. So it's multi-billion dollar opportunity if we
Okay,
crack the entire market. And yeah,
understood. All right. So anything else on your mind, folks? Anything else that you want to share with early stage SaaS founders? What they should do, what they should not do?
one thing I
Go
would say, huh?
go global.
Go
Go
global,
to India, and
talk to Upekkha.
yeah,
Yeah,
talk.
definitely. Yeah, because the kind of difference it made, it was, I mean, this is not just because I'm on a Upekkha platform, I'm saying this. Having been an entrepreneur and having all that B2C, in fact, had it not been for Upekkha, it would have taken us probably far more years to learn what is needed to do a B2B SaaS business. So I would advise all the founders, if they are on this call listening, uh, apply for Upekkha. And this is not a marketing thing I'm saying for saying sake. It would be worth your while to be in the right company.
Thank you. Poorna, you were saying go global. Anything else?
One more thing is that, see, if you're bootstrapping and things like that, make sure you have some amount of, some safety net for your family. Because if you put everything into your startup and then it's a rough journey, it's not going to be a straight journey, it's going to have its ups and downs. So keep a safety net for your family and then go full hog, so that you don't have any other stresses and you can fully focus on your company.
Understood. Cool. So anything else, folks, that you have? Otherwise, I have a few more questions coming in. Anything else that you wanted to share? Anything that's on your mind? Anything different? Purna or Chandu?
I think one more thing I would advise younger founders, take care of your health, because I have seen a lot of them burning themselves out and getting into trouble. Uh, Take care of your health, whether it is a diet, exercise, whatever you are lacking. Don't take it lightly, and particularly in these current times,
Mm.
health is a very, very strong asset that one can have. If you don't have it, it you have to pay a lot. So that's something which I would advise all entrepreneurs.
I have a very trendy question for you. You guys are on video, and now I think Facebook has launched this Meta and Metaverse and all those kind of things. What do you folks think about that? Do you have a play in that? Is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, Poorna, you want to take that?
No, you answered this.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, as I have been saying, we are not a fintech company.
Mm.
Whether it's payments or micro payments, micro loans or e-commerce, which is where, say, Facebook or WhatsApp focus would be. Whereas our focus is providing these short videos, informative videos. We don't know whether we can work with Facebook format and how we can, but that almost sounds like a B2C journey again. I don't think we are going there, but
Well, at the moment, at least, yes.
but but I would say that for other people it should be a worrisome thing, because wherever these biggies go, they tend to do very rough things in the sense deep discounting, and so that can hurt local
But that
business.
also becomes a platform for others to build big, right? There are so many companies that are. But are you referring to your Google Finance experience? Is that why?
Yeah, something like that. Google Finance or say Amazon making a lot of shops eventually shut down, even though they say you are our partners, etc. It's ultimately the biggies start to take control. So if Facebook is then Facebook and WhatsApp, if they are getting into some things like payments and all those things, could be a area of for entrepreneurs in that. Yeah, unless you figure out how to ride on them.
Understood. Okay. So if you're looking at a platform and if you're looking to ride on the platform and able to take advantage of it, then it's okay to try that. But you want to be careful about how the platforms treat you as a provider on that platform. That's what you're saying. All right. So let's say if Enrich Video, as it is done for some reason, is there a
Mhm.
different product that you would build? Is there something else that you have an idea for in a fintech space or otherwise?
Actually, not exactly. I mean, but one passion I would say we always had, and when we still nurture, probably it's not yet economically viable or whatever. What we see, there is absolute financial literacy, particularly in the lower strata of society. The guy is not aware what kind of loan he is taking. He thinks he is paying 5 rupee interest for just 3 days on 100 rupee, which comes out to be like 500, 600% interest rate. They are completely unaware of finance options, how money works. So financial literacy for masses is something, anything that would help their digital solution based on videos, etc. Now that people have access to smartphones, is something I would be definitely interested in working on.
All right. Poorna, you have any ideas that you would work on?
I would say let's see how this goes. I don't want to think of an end for Enrich video right now. So yeah, let's see when the time comes.
Awesome. Cool. So we are done a little early, I think. We didn't go into a bunch of things about the ICP and the problem and stuff like that.
Mm.
But any last words for SaaS entrepreneurs before we close?
I mean, I
It's
think
possible to do it from India, so go for it. Now's a good time.
now is the time. The
Yeah.
money is there, the support is there, and what happened in services industry, say 20, 25 years ago, I think we are at the cusp of similar revolution in SaaS products coming out of India, whether it is fresh sales or chargebeat, they will rule the world. There is a real chance of creating global products out of India. And the knowledge that got built thanks to the services company, there are thousands and thousands of software professionals, not thousands, hundreds of thousands of software professionals. The intellectual capital is here in this country to build world class products. So we have done enough of services to the दुनिया की सेवा बहुत कर ली अभी रूल करने का टाइम आ गया है that's what they say. You have served the world a lot, now let's rule it.
Awesome. Great that you feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether there are any questions here. I'm just asking Yusuf. Okay, there is one question. So, over a period of time, you folks have been in this journey for quite a long time with lots of ups and downs.
Mm.
So, what has kept you going? What is something that keeps you going through the lows?
Mm.
One can call it stubbornness, but yes, that's what is the bad word for it. But you have to be a bit sticky, you need that passion. And for me personally, it has become a habit probably, so
Yeah.
can't
Passion
keep
and
going.
some amount of discipline also, self-discipline. So,
Okay. Is there some story that you keep telling yourself, or what do you keep telling yourself, or what does the voice in your head say? Good stuff, bad stuff?
I think I'm overly optimistic kind of a person, so I don't go through that phase too often. Okay, I'm always looking at the next deal or next positive thing. So doesn't happen probably that I'm really scared kind of a thing. But yes, we do go through our low moments. That is the time probably say having a closely knit team helps.
mm.
That's what has helped, and people to talk to. Say and Poorna go back a long way, so we know each other. So plus the friends, even Upekkha community, and
Mm.
Upekkha team also. We are going through some troubled times. Now we have that feeling that we have people who have been there, done that.
Mm.
That feeling is really reassuring in those times. That's what keeps us going. Okay, hey, these guys also went through really bad times, probably worse than us, but they came out of it. So why not?
Also playing out the worst case and best case scenario in your mind and knowing how it can play out and being prepared to some extent for that.
Good. All right. So I think we don't have any more questions here. So we'll let everybody have their 7 minutes back.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot for joining us,
Thank
Chandu and
you.
Purna.
Thanks a
For
lot,
folks who are
Prasanna.
tuning in, Upekkha program, the next cohort opens in Jan Feb. Applications are open now. Please apply. And the first stage of our process is an interview with our Upekkha founders. So you might
Mm.
find yourself speaking to Chandu or Purna in that process. Thanks, folks, for coming on board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Bye.
a good day. Bye.